Hello, my name is Caroline Chambers. I am a recipe developer, cookbook author, and I'm so pumped to get to share just one of the recipes that I've come up with Andy Boy's new Florentino Sweet Baby Cauliflower. Look at this guy. It is precious, it is beautiful, it is sweet, crisp. I have gone crazy for this Sweet Baby Cauliflower. I actually had said to my husband, like 2 years ago, why is there not like a baby cauliflower? Like there's baby broccoli, why is there not a baby cauliflower? So when Andy Boy let me know that they were releasing this Florentino, I was over the moon. I already had like 50 ideas for what to do with it, and I'm really excited to share just one of those with you guys today. There's also a Kung Pao cauliflower, baby cauliflower, that I'm so excited about that you can find through Andy Boy that I've developed for them. But today we're gonna do a really easy, delightful, so flavorful sheet pan chicken and Florentino recipe. By the way, I'm just taking scissors to snip off the rubber bands that hold the bunches together because I don't want to damage any of these beautiful stalks. So we're gonna make a sheet pan recipe. That meaning we're gonna do an entire meal all on one pan. So just a large rimmed baking sheet is the only tool you need today. That's a lie. You need a blender also because we're making a really delicious green sauce. So the name of the game with this recipe is kind of gonna be that we're going really simple with the sheet pan portion. So we're going really, really simple with what goes onto the actual like seasoning, the chicken and the cauliflower. We're gonna throw a red onion on there for a little bit of bite. We're gonna go really simple with that seasoning, and then we're gonna make this like absolutely insane, next level good sauce to drizzle all over everything. So what I'm doing, I'm using two bunches of Sweet Baby Cauliflower because I find that it is easy to devour. So my husband and I can easily each eat a bunch of this. So I'm gonna use 2 bunches for this meal, which should serve like 2 to 4 people. So with this recipe today, sometimes I like to chop it up into like 1-inch, 2-inch pieces. For this recipe, I really want to showcase how beautiful this vegetable is. So I'm just gonna throw it right on the sheet pan whole, okay? We're gonna roast it whole today. Sweet Baby Cauliflower is also fabulous. Blanched, I've even microwaved it for like, actually I'm not gonna do the oil yet. I've even microwaved it with just a little bit of water, covered up the bowl, and like sort of, yeah, like done like a microwave blanch for just like a minute and a half. Just takes like a little bit of that raw bite out, but it's also wonderful raw. So for a charcuterie board or a like vegetable platter, I just like to snap off these individual baby arms. And you can serve this with hummus, and look how like beautiful and unique that makes a vegetable platter look. And it's sweet, it's crispy. It doesn't have the like, is sulfur the word that like raw real cauliflower has? It's much sweeter, much more like palatable raw to me. All right, we've got our Sweet Baby Cauliflower over there. The other thing we're going to do is just add a thinly sliced red onion. So when I'm attacking an onion, here's what I do first. I never am gonna try to peel this onion before I cut off the stem end and the top end, okay? So I'm just slicing off that root end, slicing off the top, and then I'm gonna cut it in half. That makes it incredibly easy to peel. Okay? So peel that side, peel this side, and then I'm going to show you how to properly slice an onion. I bet many of you have spent your entire lives slicing an onion. So you take the top and the bottom off. The natural feeling, go into those weird onion layers, hold. The natural thing that most people do is this. They take that onion, they've already got the top and the bottom off, and they go like this. Cut a big slice. No. Look what you end up with. You end up with big, uneven pieces. So I've got this small one, I've got this huge one. No, you don't want uneven pieces. We want beautiful, same-sized pieces. So check this out. You are actually supposed to slice this way, perpendicular to those cut in ends. So I'm gonna properly grip my knife. I have my thumb and my forefinger wrapped up around that blade. I'm pushing down into the onion with my non-dominant hand to keep it secure. And I'm just running my knife with the curve of the onion. See what I'm doing there? I'm slicing this really thinly because I want it to kind of caramelize and get really tender and browned. See? See what I'm doing there? So then once I get to the top, I'm just gonna flip it over and do that same thing again. Running it along, turning my knife as the onion curves up. The last slice is always awkward and hard. Just go with it. So let's do it again. Pushing down with my non-dominant hand, just running this knife with the natural curve of the onion. When I get to the top, I flip it. And do it again. Cool? Cool. So, I've got my onion. I've got my cauliflower. Throw it all right on that sheet pan. So, we're gonna use boneless, skinless chicken breasts today. We're gonna roast at 425. Boneless, skinless chicken breasts only need about 15 minutes to roast. I want this cauliflower and red onion to get a little bit more tender than that. So we're gonna roast this on its own for like 5-10 minutes before we add the chicken, okay? So let's do that. We're gonna take some just neutral cooking oil. I like avocado oil. We're gonna take that and drizzle, a couple tablespoons, not teaspoons, a couple tablespoons over top. We want it really coated so that the sweet baby cauliflower can like really caramelize in that hot oven. All right, big pinch of salt, maybe a teaspoon, 3/4 teaspoon of salt and pepper. And like I said, we are keeping this really simple because the star of this show is going to be the green sauce that we're making while everything roasts. So we just want this to be simple, simple, simple. Salt, pepper. Get in there with your hands. The best way to coat vegetables in salt, pepper, oil is with your hands. It's the only way to really feel, are they getting coated? Like I'm getting in there, down into the onion. I never use a bowl to toss my veggies in the oil. No, I don't have time for that. I'm a mom of two. Who's got the time to clean an extra bowl when you can just toss it right here? But what that means is you just have to really be sure that you're getting your hands down in that oil, making sure that everything gets evenly coated. Okay, so my onions are kind of gonna be like all over the place, down on the bottom. And I just want the cauliflower, the sweet baby cauliflower. I just wanna make sure that it gets all kind of evenly distributed. I don't want it overlapping. This is a really large piece, so I'm just gonna break it into a smaller piece so that it roasts at the same time as those smaller ones. Oh, just a little bit of late onset onion eye for ya. Cut that one into a smaller piece and check that out. So the onion is kind of underneath the cauliflower and the cauliflower is over top. All right, we're gonna throw this in the oven for 10 minutes. I said 5 to 10. We're gonna do 10 minutes. And then while that's happening, we're going to get our chicken kind of coated in oil and start our green sauce. So let's get this into the oven. Computer, set a timer for 10 minutes. All right, now while that's going down, we're just gonna get our chicken coated in oil, salt, and pepper also, so that when those vegetables come out, all we have to do is plop this chicken right on top and throw it back in the oven, let it rip. Okay, so grab a couple paper towels, or I'm trying to be better about using less paper towels. So I'm gonna use a dish towel. A clean dish towel is great for this job. And I'll just throw it straight in the washer. I'm gonna grab these because I want them to be dry, okay? You don't want your chicken breasts to be wet when you throw them in, either to sear them or to roast them. If they're wet, they will not get like a nice exterior. They'll be kind of like grayish on the outside. So you always want to dry those puppies off before you cook them. Get my trash out of the way a little bit here. we're just doing a really simple, same exact thing that we did with the vegetables. Just a light sheen of oil. I'm gonna do it right on top of this paper towel. Who cares? Or this dish towel. Clean off that hand. Salt. Pep. You don't even need to season the other side, frankly, because again, we're getting all of that flavor for this dish from our green sauce. But we've got the time, so why not? Flip them over. I'm just gonna kind of rub them in that oil right there. Wash this hand, use the hand that didn't touch the chicken, and season the other side. I'm gonna wipe this off, wipe my hands off, wash my hands. And these guys can just kind of be set aside for now while the cauliflower and the red onion roast. Okay, so we're gonna just set them aside right up there by you. Set them aside. It's cool for them to be at room temperature. At room temperature, they will absorb that salt and pepper and oil so much better than if you were to throw them back in the fridge. They are totally safe to hang out at room temperature for 30 minutes, at least 10. Like 10 is no big deal while that roasts, all right? This is a great trick. We're gonna start working on our green sauce. Watch this, okay? I get these huge chunks of Parmesan because it's much more price conscious to buy the big chunk. We need, what do we need for this recipe? I'm looking at my recipe off to the side to make sure I don't goof anything up. We need a 1/2 cup plus a couple tablespoons for garnish of Parmesan. So what I'm gonna do is break off, cut a big chunk. Okay, I'm gonna cut off the rind and save it. These rinds are great in like broths and soups. You can throw it in while you're cooking rice even. I think this will be about a 1/2 cup, this chunk. So we're gonna throw this straight into our blender. Watch this. No need to pre-grate your Parmesan for this recipe. Just do it first, right in that blender. Look at that perfectly grated. It smells so good because it's really good fancy parm. Highly suggest using the good stuff for this recipe because it's such a simple recipe, like use the good stuff. That looks like about 1/2 cup. Eyeball it. I'm just gonna pull out a couple of tablespoons and put them right up here on my cutting board. And that's just gonna be my garnish. All right, so when we finish roasting everything, that's gonna go right on top. Okay, so I've got my grated Parmesan in there. We're making kind of like a tangy, basil-y sauce, okay? So my tang is really coming from apple cider vinegar, which I love. It's great for your gut health. It's also just a fabulously tangy vinegar. You can use any vinegar you want, but apple cider vinegar has so many amazing like digestive and just like good gut bacteria benefits that I love using it in recipes. So we're gonna use that apple cider vinegar, and then we're gonna throw in the juice of 1/2 of a lemon too, just to get like a different type of acid going on. Lots of tanginess in this sauce. Okay, so the juice of 1/2 a lemon, and that other 1/2 just put off to the side, save it. One more way to get a little bit of tang and to get tons of flavor is some Dijon mustard. I'm actually using whole grain Dijon mustard today because that's the first thing I grabbed in my fridge. You can use plain Dijon, whole grain Dijon. Whole grain has a little bit more like pop, a little bit more flavor, so I like using it. And then we're going to throw in a garlic clove. We don't need to mince it. We don't need to do a thing to it because the blender is going to do the work for us. And then we're going to throw in a cup of basil. So this is just fresh basil leaves. I'm ashamed to say, as a Carmel Valley resident, just over the hill from Andy Boy, that I can scarcely keep a basil plant alive. There's one out there struggling for its life. And I'm really working on it. but I did have to buy this from the store. I wasn't quite thriving enough for that. So summer, in the summertime, there's so much basil. If you are cooking this recipe in the winter, in the fall, and you can't find basil for any reason, parsley would be fabulous here. Cilantro would be fabulous here. So throw in kind of any green herb. You can also make pesto with kale, all right? So grab a big handful of kale and make a fabulously healthy pesto recipe using kale. What we're gonna do is blend this up. Here's what can all, oh no, we gotta have some oil in there. We're gonna add a 1/4 cup of oil. I'll measure it. I never measure things when I'm not filming them for others, but let's do it. 1/4 cup of oil, and that's gonna kind of emulsify the sauce, make it really creamy and make it come together really nicely. So here's what might happen. Pinch of salt. What might happen is that we start to blend this and it just won't catch. Our blender like doesn't have enough liquid in it and it won't catch. That happens, right? You've made a smoothie, you've heard the like of your blender not having enough liquid. If that happens, all you have to do is add just a tiny bit of water at a time until it'll blend, okay? So let's see if it happens. Hear that? That means that your blender just needs a little bit more liquid to do its job. So I'm just gonna open the top, and I go a tablespoon at a time, all right? Because I don't want a ton of excess liquid, I just want enough for it to blend. And that was all it needed. I just need to grab a spatula to scrape the bottom because that cheese is trying to clump up on me. But all I needed was just 1 tablespoon of water to get it to properly blend. And now we're going to drink it. All right. I like my sauce with a few, God, just smells so good. I like my sauce with kind of some like specks in it, a little bit of texture, but if you like a completely smooth sauce, you can add another tablespoon of water and just blend it on high speed for even longer, and it'll go totally smooth for you. I like it. This is almost like a cross between a smooth sauce and a pesto. I'll pour it out and show you. We're just gonna pour it into a little serving bowl because this is gonna go straight into the center of your sheet pan, and you're gonna serve straight off the sheet pan for dinner, making things easy on ourselves. So look at that beautiful sauce, right? It's thick, it's like somewhere between creamy, has a little bit of texture. It is pretty dang good, y'all. We didn't add a ton of salt to this because Parmesan has so much salt already. So, didn't add a ton of salt there. You can always taste it. Add more salt if you need to. That apple cider vinegar just like has this delicious kick. I love it so much. Here, we'll set those things aside. And now all we have to do is wait for that cauliflower to finish its first 10-minute roast, and then we'll add the chicken. So we'll be right back. It's been 10 minutes. Let's grab that cauliflower out of the oven. And look at that. Look how beautifully those little tips start to like crisp up and brown. Just gonna throw this here. We don't even need to stir this, honestly. It's only been in for 10 minutes, so we're not at risk of anything like burning on the bottom. And what we're gonna do is just make a tiny bit of room. Now that it's been roasting for 10 minutes, everything has just shrunk down a tiny bit. I'm trying to find my spatula. I'm just gonna use a fork. So we're just gonna kind of scoot over the cauliflower, that Florentino. I want the Florentino to have its own space to get nice and perfectly roasted. So I don't wanna put the chicken on top of it. So see what I've done? I've just made 2 little spaces here for our chicken breast. Oh, I forgot I have 3 chicken breasts. I feel like packages of chicken breasts now come with 3, which feels like a random number, but we're gonna use them all because this will be fabulous for leftovers. So see what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna make some space. I don't wanna overcrowd anybody. So I'm just trying to make some perfect space. I'm gonna move this Florentino down so it's kind of running this way. So I can make a little bit more space right here for that third unexpected breast. So put that one right here. Okay, great. So back into the oven this all goes for 15 more minutes, and I'll see you when it comes out so we can plate it up. Sheet pan chicken and Florentino. Look how beautiful it is. There is nothing that brings me more satisfaction than a sheet pan meal. I mean, forget it. After a long day, you're exhausted. You gotta feed the whole family. You need to feed them vegetables, protein. This is it. Speaking of protein, if you're a vegetarian, you probably haven't made it this far, but this would be a fabulous vegetarian option, or you can make a veggie side dish by draining and rinsing a can of chickpeas and adding them with the Florentino. So just roast the whole thing for 25 minutes as opposed to taking it out, adding the chicken. So last step, you know I love acid. That tanginess is what kind of brings a meal together. So we're gonna squeeze some lemon juice over top. And cut this last lemon wedge in half. Put it there and there for some color. You can also grab it and put it on your own. And then we're gonna throw some Parmesan over top. Just give it like a cheesy bite. This Parmesan, this is still so hot. This parm will kind of melt down onto the chicken and the vegetables. So good. And then I told you the reason we're putting that sauce in a bowl is we're gonna just throw it right on this sheet pan. And this is dinner, guys. That's it. All right? You serve this, you throw this on the dinner table, everybody digs in, serves themselves. One last thing that I like to do, just to get some greens in there, is that I'll add some arugula, just right over top. The kids, my kids anyway, don't love it, don't love the arugula. Speaking of kids, my kids don't love the arugula, but doesn't that just kind of like brighten the whole thing up? Kind of ties it together, makes it look beautiful. You always want to let your chicken breasts rest for at least like 5 minutes, but for demo purposes, I'm gonna go ahead and slice into this one. And what I'm gonna do is cut this on kind of an angle, okay? That cuts through the like fibrous chicken and makes it just a much more tender bite. So see what I'm doing? I'm kind of angling my knife down and to the side, down and over, down and over. And this will just make it a much more tender bite. So this is another thing you can do to make it easier for people to grab. And if you're serving more than 3 people, so you need more than 3 breasts, go ahead and pre-slice it. Make it so easy for everyone to grab that chicken. Look how pretty that is. Moist, delicious chicken, because we didn't let it overcook. That 15-minute mark is pretty darn perfect for most chicken breasts. You can always start checking around 12 minutes if you have really small breasts. Maybe they need up to 20 minutes if the chicken breasts are really large. I like to let people serve this, but just so you can see it, look how pretty that sauce is right over the chicken and the Florentino. The arugula in the mix just kind of makes it come to life a little bit, add some bright greenness. I love how the tips of the Florentino get kind of frizzled. Look at that. They get kind of crunchy. It's like the perfect crisp, tender bite. Can't say enough good things. Maybe a little sprinkle of salt to finish everything off. I pretty much always finish my dishes with a hit of black pepper. And there we have it, guys. Dinner is served.